drink and fight. We'll drink and drink and drink and drink and drink and drink and fight. And if I see a pretty girl, I'll sleep with her tonight. Yes, I'll drink and drink and drink and drink and drink and drink and fight.
To get the exact date, I was working for the state of Kentucky and the federal government, and at the time in Bell County when moonshine making was fairly predominant, you know. And anyway, we had a complaint on a moonshiner, if you would, that nobody could seem to get enough evidence to get a search warrant for. I will not mention any particular names. We would stake it out, do a lot of observation, and several officers, federal officers, state officers, would go in the area that we knew it was, and we could never determine. When moonshine is being made, the mash fermentation thing, it emits a distinct odor. After several months of doing this, and I'm speaking of professional officer that's highly trained, highly skilled in detecting this, I kind of made up my mind that one way or the other I was going to, because from other sources I knew in my mind that there was a moonshine still being operated in that area. It was done a real warm summer morning before daylight. I went into the area, and while I was there, I'd get the soft winds blowing, warm winds in summer were blowing, and I got the distinct odor of what I knew in my mind was fermenting mash, but it was camouflaged by a hog lot, a hog pen, and the hog manure was pretty dominant too. So after some time, I came to Kelly Clore, which at the time this was happening, Kelly Clore, who ended up being the first district judge in Bell County, he was a federal magistrate. A lot of people referred to him then as a federal commissioner. So I went to Kelly and advised him of the situation, what evidence I had, my opinion based on some training and a lot of experience in that field. So Kelly issued a search warrant and went to this premises, and there in fact was this moonshine still operating, and the expelled mash that you use when you're making moonshine was being poured over into the hog lot, and the odors of the fermented mash and the hog manure was mixing pretty regular. So when we got to federal court in London, Judge Bernard Monahan, a dear friend and a fine gentleman by the way, they had a motion to suppress the search based on my affidavit to determine that there was in fact enough evidence to secure a search warrant for these premises. And Judge Monahan, after a lot of deliberation, ruled that not only was I experienced, and use the word expert very loosely, on the odor of fermenting mash to make moonshine whiskey, that I was an expert on the odor of hog manure. So that is in the court records now in London, Kentucky. And this case, by the way, was appealed to the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the federal courts, and was upheld. So I suppose based on that some of my expertise in law enforcement is that I am an expert on the odor of fermenting mash and hog manure, and I am able, according to the law now, able to differentiate and testify under oath that I know the difference between those odors.